Hello everybody and welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is Anton bringing you my kind of reaction from the game against Arsenal at the Emirates. West Ham turning up against a very good Arsenal side. And to be honest with you, if I'm being really honest, for me the league is Arsenal's to lose. It really does come down to that because I think they've got a really strong squad that is going to challenge the Premier League all the way. And you're looking at all the other sides and you're starting to see elements of frustration grow in and dropping points here, there and everywhere. But Nuno, who's only been in the job for 1 week, one solid week, has got a mountain to climb with West Ham. But there are some pillars of hope amongst the West Ham faithful because, to be honest with you, I just highly rate Nuno so far. In the 1 week in his role, I do kind of rate him as things stand. Now, we all expected former West Ham captain Declan Rice to pop up and bang in a goal against West Ham. Why? Because we're West Ham and that's just what happens. And the difference was, really the VAR decision that came in the second half because it was ridiculous. Listen, we all know Diouf's a fantastic player. However, he did get caught out again with the man coming over the top, the ball coming over the top. He lost his marker. He made a silly tackle, but the tackle did happen outside the box and it should never have counted as a penalty. And if it hadn't counted as a penalty, we were 1-0 down and we still had opportunities, but we did lose the match. Anyway, I'm here to give you also some of the player ratings about individual players from the game. This is a take on the Finalysis. If you're not aware of it, it's a group of West Ham fans that are part of Finalysis, which is a partnership with Sky Sports. And after every game, we review the players and we score the players and we give a match rating of those players, a match review of those players and the team and the game as a whole. So we get a collective average score and that goes out in to let people know what the kind of collective group of fans do. So it's all lots of social media channels, lots of just generic West Ham fans that are part of this group and give your Finalysis point of view. So just to give you the heads up, the scoring is from 0 to 100, just very similar to 0 to 10. You can score someone 72, that would be 7.2. You can score someone 55, that would be 5.5. You can score someone 10, that would be 100 out of 100. So we're going to go with the 0 to 100 method. And first up, I'm going to talk to you is about Alphonse Areola because, again, he was kept in goals, starting in favour of Mads Hermansen under Nuno. Again, the keeper has got it seems to be a lot of faith kept in Areola, and I really don't think he put a foot wrong. He did well to deny an early opportunity from Timber as he broke through on goal, but he looked fairly composed in front of goal. He looked strong for set pieces when he came out and punched balls clear, etc. Some people are suggesting that he maybe was at fault for the save that led to Declan Rice hitting the opportunity, but essentially when you look at that, no one was marking Declan Rice, so I thought Areola actually had a good save. Yes, he may have put it into the path on the penalty spot area for Declan Rice to come on and pounce on and get the opportunity, but for me, I thought he actually had a reasonable game. I don't think he was at fault for any of the goals, and for that reason I gave him a 65, so 6.5 out of 10 or a 65 out of 100. Not here nor there, but decent enough, and certainly earned his right to stay in the lineup just now. Next up for me is Diouf, who I think has been nothing but phenomenal for West Ham since he's joined. It is an exciting prospect, isn't he? He really is an exciting prospect for us, but it was nowhere near his best. He's like the perfect winger, and he was up against some of the best talent in the world, Saka, but the problem was, it wasn't even the fact that he failed to produce any of his work down the left wing. He was clumsy in his man marking, he was clumsy in his marking, and players were getting in behind all the time, that led to the controversial penalty kick. It was a below average performance. It's something we've never seen from him yet in the early days of his West Ham career, and so far in terms of his West Ham career, he's been probably one of the most outstanding players. But let's just hope that Nuno can park this situation and progress West Ham and really get the best out of players like Diouf. But yeah, this is a really low scoring for me. today, and I gave him a 40 out of 100. So put your comments in and let me know your thoughts. Harsh or fair for that one. Next up for me, and as you've seen from the title, defensively inept. And I really do think West Ham are defensively inept. And Max Kilman was far from looking like a solid defender. I said he's not living up to expectations because of his price tag, and a lot of people were saying, well, you can't blame the price tag. Well, I'm not blaming the price tag. What I'm blaming is the fact that he was a player who warranted the price tag. Therefore, we're expecting to see some performances come from him, and we're not getting them. And we're not getting them at all. There's no element of commanding. He looks shaky when he's put under pressure, and he struggled to deal with the intensity of Arteta's front three, and that resulted in him making several poor passes in the game and erratic decisions. Sometimes driving forward, and I think he did it once in the game in the second half where he kind of drove 70 yards and he played really well. And I think it's just that was like one of out of a million opportunities, and every time he's tried that again, it's always kind of shaky. When I think about this, I've actually given him a 45. I probably should have rated him in and around the 40 mark as well, but it doesn't matter because it's below average performance from your defenders. And if you've got Diouf sitting at 40, Kilman sitting at 45, what does that say for the game in itself? So leave your comments and let me know your thoughts on his performance. Next up is Dinos. I just don't rate the guy. I'm sorry, I love him to bits because he's a West Ham player, but I just don't rate him. He's not a West Ham centre-back. And, he's done and did marginally better, a few good clearances. And I think he kept Gyökeres at bay to a certain extent, but I just think genuinely we are defensively inept, and I think he epitomises exactly that comment because I feel like he jumps for air balls all the time. Nothing gets near him sometimes. When you watch back the corners, the amount of times he jumps up and heads nothing because someone's got in front of him. There's no element of commanding, and I just don't think he is what we need right now, and I think that we really need to address that over the international break. Harsh, I know it seems like I'm targeting him, but you've got to call a spade, and for me, that's why I give him a 50. He was here nor there. He's done a couple of good things, but a couple of bad things. I just think we're terribly defensively inept, and that's really impacting us for the season moving ahead. So what do you think? Put it in the comments and let me know your thoughts as I discuss with you Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who made a return to the West Ham lineup, straight back into 11 following his brief absence from the squad, from a stomach bug. And again, possibly another here nor there, probably the better defender of them all, but still looked like he was struggling to wipe the dust off his shoulders from not being included in the last few squads. So I definitely think, and we all know what he's capable of, and coming back into the lineup against Arsenal was always going to be a hard ask. You had Leonardo Trossard coming in, and I think he did a good job, essentially, and I think for that reason, I've scored him probably the highest rated defender apart from the goalkeeper at 55. So let me know your thoughts on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Be scoring 55 out of 100. Next up is our summer signing, Magasa. And for me, I thought he gave a decent performance, but you have to remember he was up against one of the most technically gifted midfield trio in the Premier League. So it's no surprise that sometimes he's going to lose his man. With the substitution from Odegaard coming off and pushing Declan Rice a lot forward, I think there is a really, really interesting, exciting future prospect here in Magasa. I think he's going to take time to bed into the Premier League, and I think I like the fact he's been held in that role as a consistent performer, and that's going to only but help him get in this. And I think this international break's really going to pay him dividends. He's got 2 appearances under his belt. He's going to understand what Nuno's going to be looking for. And I think he will come good, essentially. But like I said, and I have said for many of the players, it was nor here nor there. He gets a 50 out of 100, straight up half performance. Not great, not crap, not good. Just a 50-50 performance really from him. So let me know in the comments. Again, do you agree or disagree with me as we turn on to Matheus Fernandes? And he didn't do a huge amount to impact the game, but I've seen quite a lot of people saying I just wasn't impressed with him, where for me, he's just a ball of energy, and he puts a big shift in. And in actual fact, because we were up against a world-class bunch of players, we're always going to have an element of struggle, especially when other players aren't performing to the highest of standards. So I think he put in a solid shift defensively, but it was a bang average performance, but not awful, and I think he just kind of comes up a little bit in my scoring, but I do think we've got a fantastic player here, and I'm excited to see him bed himself into the West Ham setup and start 11 and stay there as well. For that reason, I give him a 55 out of 100. As I move on to Lucas Paqueta. Lucas Paqueta given the opportunity to play more free role as per usual, but he produced not a huge amount, if I'm being honest. Sometimes he got himself involved in Arsenal stride, breaking it up. But sometimes he was easily caught in possession, and it was he is frustrating to watch. There's no denying that, and that comes down to the final third. We are needing desperately carving open people's defences, and right now Paqueta is doing everything in the first and second third, but in the final third, where we really need to penetrate those balls through those defences, we're really struggling to get them there, even though we don't have anything up top. But we need to find that fire in his belly. We need to get that back. We need to get that creativity back. We always know as a player like Paqueta that he is going to try things and he's going to lose the ball so many times, but it does get a little bit tiresome as well. It's a below average performance from Paqueta. I give him a 44 out of 100. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. Now, I'm going to talk to you about Krys Summerville. And who's had the best performance in the West Ham team this weekend. It was a tough one. He was great against Everton. We all know that he is a special player. I'm really quite excited about the future of what he holds. He carried the ball well. He produced a couple of bits of magic and had a few attempted mazy runs. But it's very difficult for him to create anything when you've not got the other elements in the team working for you at that moment, especially coming up against a team like Arsenal. But I'm excited by him moving forward. For that, I gave him a 55 as well. You can see bog standard average results in these players for the game against Arsenal. So let's talk about the captain, Jarrod Bowen. I've said it so many times, how do we move forward without a Jarrod Bowen in the team? But he works hard. He does. He tracks back. He gave us a glimmer of hope, when he put the ball into danger, I think near the end of the game, but nowhere near his normal standards, but who was anywhere near their normal standards as well. And I think when you've got him firing on all cylinders alongside someone like Krys Summerville on the other flank, then we're going to cause many teams problems. But let's just hope that Nuno Espirito Santo is going to get the best out of all of these players. I think he will, and I think it will come through time as we move on. And sorry, I haven't even scored him. I'll give him a 55 out of 100. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments. Let's move on to our striker, the Falkman. He had a real strong chance in the first 40 seconds, first minute of the match, but he headed the corner over the bar. But apart from that, I don't think he really did anything else. Now, there's a part of me saying that he was extremely immobile, and that had a real knock-on effect to him in the game, and I think it did. But equally, he wasn't supported in this game either. But it definitely is lethargic, lacking any element of fight in the game, and deservedly so, had to be substituted. And not to probably his liking, not to Callum Wilson's liking, because he didn't come on. But for that reason, I gave Nicholas Füllkrug a 30 out of 100 as well. So let me know if you agree or disagree. But the immobility up front was stark, highlighting, stark contrast in what Arsenal were doing, and really highlights the areas of places we need to work on. There were several substitutions. We had Callum Marshall, Kyle Walker-Peters, Freddie Potts. I'm just going to mark the two of them. I'm going to mark Freddie Potts, who came off a fantastic game against Everton. And again, he showed that the fact that he's really tidy with the ball, but really would struggle to make any impact. So for that reason, I gave him a straight up 50 out of 100. And then the one I suppose really that surprised us and shocked us was the youngster came on, Callum Marshall, for the underwhelming Nicholas Füllkrug. And I thought there was elements of promising signs from him, especially when he held off the world-class Saliba to get in front of him and get a header in, and that gave me a glimmer of hope. And especially as listening to Nuno Espirito Santo's post-match comments about, you know, naming Marshall alongside the three strikers we've got at the club in terms of Callum Marshall, Nicholas Füllkrug, and now Callum Wilson, Nicholas Füllkrug, and now Callum Marshall. So I think that is an exciting time for him to be at West Ham. I gave him a 50, and for some reason, let me just see if I can. My images have just got. Oh, hold on a minute. I know how to do this. So yeah, I gave him a 50. It was a short game for him, really, but I think he did enough to show that, listen, there's something there. He's potentially capable on his day of turning up into the Premier League. And I think the one thing that gave me real hope was the fact that he did get in front of Saliba, and I've got to take. You've got to take something, haven't you? When you've got nothing to cry home about, as well. Now I'm just waiting for. Oh no, that's not there. Hold on a second. Let me just get this for you. Give me 2 seconds if I can get this up and running. Oh, I don't know where they are. I did rate Nuno, and I don't know where his pictures have gone. So apologies for that. But I've put Nuno in the mix. Now, rate him. For me, I gave him a 60. I think I've seen elements of change, structure, system, tiny bit of hope. In a bad day, we had to make Arsenal work, and I think that's why he gets it. But he's got his work cut out for him, and he knows that. And his comments after the game really highlight the fact that he's got his work cut out for him. So I think that this international break's come at a good time. He's going to come in and work his magic, hopefully, and really ram home what he needs to do. But he's really going to have to take a hard look at the defence and the striker situation, because going into the Brentford game, which is going to become massively vital to stop the rot, we need to get something from it, and we need to see something on that park, and I think he is definitely going to be hopefully helping us with that. Anyway, that brings an end to our analysis, match player ratings. Defensively inept was my overview of it. Do you agree, disagree? Am I harsh? Am I not? Put it in the comments, let me know. Hit the thumbs up, please leave us a comment and subscribe. Come on, you irons.